think we got 8 transfers, 14 mid-year high school guys. Caleb Beasley, Edwin Spillman joined us here today. They weren't with us at the beginning of this semester, but were able to join us today too. So great to get out on the grass with those guys and start our on the field journey for this season. And our guys have done a great job in the first quarter of our off-season transition here into spring ball. In a great spot to go compete and get better every single day, and today was the start of it. So, open it up.
Yeah, Coach, what do you think you know about this team today that you didn't know when you left the bowl site?
It's a different team than it was at the bowl site. There's a lot of guys that are here with us, obviously. December's a different month. Guys going to the league, whatever it might be. You have some of your mid-year enrollees that are there, but it's their first experience. Got a bunch more that are with us now than were in Orlando with us. And every year, it's always been true, but certainly, rosters, turnover, more frequently at this point and this time in college football. And so it's a process. It's a journey. You can't shortchange it. You can't cut it. And for us, strength and conditioning, the accountability factor, we're intentional in trying to develop leadership communication from within the locker room. Our guys handled that extremely well, grew throughout of it. Some great days, some tough days that we had to learn from too. But that's all part of the process and the journey. What I do like about this group is that they do compete extremely hard. They care about one another. And they're willing to get coached. And today is just the beginning of the on-field stuff for everybody in the building. Man, fundamentally getting better, growing in your technique, mastering that, then the scheme, your eyes, your hands. It's a long ways to go until we kick off. We always challenge our guys, don't make the same mistake twice. If you do that, you're going to grow and be in a good spot by the time we get to kickoff. The identity of this football team, our makeup, we're still a long ways away from being what I hope us to be, but also what we should be. That's all part of it.
Josh, when you're talking about the transfers, obviously they were brought here for a reason. They're all going to, you would hope, fill critical roles. Can they afford to sort of ease into it because this is still just spring, or do you need to see some urgency from those transfers that they can be ready when these 15 practices are over?
You need to see urgency from everybody that's putting a helmet on and going out and practice. I don't care how long you've been playing. The best in the game are always working on their craft, and that's Hall of Famers, 15-year vets. Same at this level, man. There's constant growth, and all of our guys got areas that our strength staff's pinpointed, our coaches have pinpointed in areas that they got to get better at. And so continuing to compete every single day. Guys that compete the hardest and do it the longest, typically the ones that win out. And that's true in a position battle. It's true when you get out on the field on a Saturday afternoon too.
Communication and the helmets and stuff, how much will you all work that this spring, and what will you need to see out of that before you feel comfortable wanting to roll out there in a game with that?
Yeah, really have an idea, but going to kind of tinker with it. Both sides of the football don't have as many available right now, and I think that's true across college football is what you'd like to be able to work it on both sides of the football every single day, every rep, with all the guys that potentially will be wearing it. But a little bit trial and error that'll happen in practice and in scrimmages, and kind of figure out how to navigate it where it's the most advantageous to our program that it can be.
You guys have had good relationship between your starting quarterback and your backup quarterback for several years now. What did you see from Jake Merklinger in the bowl practices and then in this first quarter of prep going into spring practice?
Yeah, talented guy that works extremely hard, cares about his craft, cares about his teammates in a really positive way. And he's had, a workman-type mentality since he got here. And you get thrown into bowl preparation, man, it's all coming really quickly at you, and certainly at that position with everything that you've got to navigate. Continuing to get better fundamentally. He's grown in understanding our schemes. He hasn't mastered anything yet, but he shouldn't at this point either. I'm really excited to get out there, and continue to compete with him throughout the course of spring ball at quarterback. And it's true at every position too, but the fundamentals of the position, if those aren't right, it's hard to be consistent in, what everybody's going to see, the accuracy of a football when you're throwing it. But continuing to grow that way, and then, mastering our schemes here and what he's seen on the defense side of the ball. So for all of the young guys that are in spring ball, man, it's almost like thirds, man. The first 5 days are really tough. It's hard. Second 5 days, there's usually a dramatic growth from the first 5 days. And by the time you get to the end of it, you don't resemble the player that you were the first 5 days, so being confident, continuing to work hard, not losing any confidence as you're learning, as you're growing through, making some mistakes too.
Josh, you guys have had mostly internal promotions, and you've had a little bit of turnover on the staff the last couple of years. What's it like, bringing in a couple outside guys, and how's that transition been for them so far?
Yeah, for us, the process really isn't different. When we have an opening, you always want to hire the right person that fits the culture of the building, that's going to be able to, develop and have great relationships with the players, that's going to be a great teacher of the game, but help them grow outside of it too. All of that translates into recruiting because, to me, recruiting is about relationships and, showing a kid how you're going to care about them, how you're going to help them grow and become their best. And, for us, really excited about the two guys that we brought in. William and Darrell are two guys who have had a ton of success. If you look at the history of their careers, they've coached at high levels. They've had guys that have been highly productive. They've come into the building, done a great job of developing relationships with our guys inside the room really quickly, but then also, being able to demonstrate how they're going to help them grow, and the transition's been really smooth. So excited to have those guys, and I know our players have really enjoyed having them too.
Josh, just sort of following up on that one, what are the habits or maybe personalities that you've seen from Coach Inge and Coach Sims in the position rooms out there on the field today? Just habits and personalities from those guys.
Yeah, they're both extremely smart. Whether I've known them or just went through the interview process with them, they're both extremely bright guys that communicate at a really high level. They have a high passion, care factor. They got great energy. They're really comfortable and confident in who they are and how they present themselves. And, they've been really good inside the building so far. Really high-level guys that, do it the right way and extremely competitive.
Far from Chris Braslin, how have the older guys, Squirrel White, Brew McCoy, helped him in his transition here?
Yeah, we've been really fortunate building a culture where, your vets want good players around them and want to help them grow. And that happens because of the, position coaches that we have inside of those rooms, the culture that they set inside of those rooms. It happens because of the locker room. So for Chris, all the veteran guys that have been in this, they help them grow just in how to play the game within the game. For us, the mechanics, how to process, can be specific routes, but they also help them just, the culture of the building, who we need to be individually and thus collectively as a group. And our first quarter of our offseason, I said it earlier, we spent a lot of time on leadership and communication, and we got good leadership. It's got to become great leadership, and we need it to be championship leadership inside of that locker room.
Josh, you're already seeing some places, some analysts saying that Pierce is going to have to maybe get used to the way people might, sort of focus on him this season, do what they can against him. But as last season progressed, how much more attention did he start getting in that way with opponents?
He did see a bunch of attention. That can be sliding, it can be chipping. Some of the route structure, getting the ball out quickly, out on the perimeter, was a part of it. And at the end of the day, any unit, it can't just be one guy. James needs to grow as a player too, and he would stand up here and tell you that as well. There's things that he's working on for him to become his best and take his game to another level. But you got to have guys around you too, and that way, if they're just trying to slide to one, man, somebody else has got a one-on-one that they can go win too, and bring some balance to what you're doing up front, and then for us, obviously having the ability to move him around too will be a part of it as well.
Josh, with Lance Hurd, the transfer you guys brought in on the offensive line, he obviously is very, very big, but for
He is
still-
big.
he's-
Yes, he is.
Yes, yeah. Thanks for confirming that. Just the fact that he's sort of a young player, but kind of is coming in with some expectations coming in from LSU. What you guys expect from him? What's this spring like for him as he sort of adjusts this offense and really building his experience?
Yeah, really young player that played, snaps down there and played well when he had the opportunity. He's a young player that's going to have to continue to grow. He's got to develop and grow into being a pro and how he handles himself every single day. He's been awesome inside of our building, developing relationships, how he's competed every day. The guys that we took in the transfer portal, that recruitment happens really quickly. Man, it's been a great group that's come into the building and tried to blend in and mesh in with our team culture extremely quickly. They've handled themselves with a lot of maturity. He's handled himself with maturity. On the field, as a young player that, he's, 7 months, 8 months into his college football career, and he's just beginning his journey. So fundamentals, technique, understanding what we're doing offensively, the communication that's got to happen up front. Then when we play with tempo, being able to function and operate within that. He's in the beginning stages. Uber talented, been great in the building. Man, I expect him to grow a bunch here over, the next 14 practices.
You always talk about being able to take your offense and mold it to whatever quarterback you have or whatever weapons that you have. with it now being Nico's offense, where are you guys this spring in terms of building around him, experimenting with what's best for him versus what you've done in the past?
Yeah.
And then secondly, where is he from a leadership standpoint in your mind right now?
Yeah, knowing who Nico is, but also knowing that he's still growing as a player, some core principles, some things that we believe in that we feel like we need to have. We're going to continue to grow in that. Some subtle things that we'll add, just based off of the player that he is and how we put him in a position to be successful, but also help us grow and change from year to year too. So we'll tinker with some of that through spring ball, figure out, the things that we feel like are best for us collectively and for him, and, kind of hone in on those things as we get into to training camp. Yeah, quarterback position, you got the ball in your hands. Everybody's paying attention to that position. You better have some of those traits right from the jump. The hard thing as a young quarterback on the leadership side of it is you're still pushing extremely hard on the fundamentals, the growth and mastering of our offense, mastering what's going on the other side of the ball. He does a phenomenal job in one-on-one situations, communication with wide receivers after, a series, offensive line, the growth, his voice within our entire program. He's got to continue to grow in that role. That's something that is true for every young quarterback, though. Expect him to continue to mold into that. Appreciate it, everybody.